Are you stuck in the procrastination cycle? Do you wish you could become more productive, manage your time better, and just reduce overwhelm? Then you're in the right place. Hey there, I'm Esther Davenport, your host of Life Fix University podcast. And as a productivity coach myself, I am super excited for today's life coach who focuses on time management and productivity. I will still be considered a productivity coach too. I'm super excited because here at Life Fix University, we really focus on understanding the core of the issue and solving the real problem and not just putting on a Band-Aid, not just trying another tip. However, once your brain is rewired and those cognitive functions are fixed, then all the productivity tips fall into place and make it so super easy to do. So I am excited to see what Nicki has for us today. She is a life coach that has a passion for helping individuals reach their goals by building habits of discipline, consistency, and building their mindset. I am excited. Thank you so much, Nicki, for being here. You want to start by telling us something you did as a kid that your parents laugh about till today?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I want to say thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Something that my parents still laugh at me for. Oh my gosh.
I know, right? Like I need to give you time before to think about it, to decide. So if you can't think of anything.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that this is something that they laugh at me about, but when I was younger, I was obsessed with horses. And every time we drove by farms, all that kind of stuff, I would want to go see the horses. And it was always like, that's too expensive. We can't do that. And if finally, in my middle school years, I finally got to start riding horses and I was hooked. And I was like, I will get a job. I will pay for my own lessons. I bought my own horse. And maybe it's not like a laugh, jokingly, but they smile at it because, I actually just went out and did what I wanted because I wanted to do it so bad.
And you actually bought your own horse.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I was just telling Nicki before that I think there's so many similarities between us. And that's another one. Horse is my absolute favorite animal. Yeah. I don't own a horse yet, but I do hope one day to own a nice big horse ranch resort. So
awesome. Yes.
There we go. You see another thing. Okay. So tell me, Nicki, how did you get involved in what you are currently doing?
Yeah. So currently right now I'm a life coach. So I do that full time. My business is Unleash Leadership. But prior to that, I actually worked in a financial institution and I basically started there when I was in my high school years, just kind of helping out part-time clerical work. And I slowly kind of got into things, teller work. I was a head teller, went to college, came back, loan officer, assistant branch manager. I worked my way up. But before that, before I transitioned as a life coach, I was actually a training manager. And that was where I did the new employee onboarding, leadership development, employee development, a lot of training type activities. And I learned about coaching through that position, but also learned about life coaching and how impactful it is for especially entry level young adults that are just starting their lives and their careers, how much it is important for them to kind of get coached and mentored a little bit just to kind of understand what they need to do, how they need to act, how they need to plan out their work days, all that kind of stuff. So I enjoy more of the personal aspect to that. So that's why I transitioned into life coaching. So we can kind of dive deep into those other areas because if things aren't going right in your work life, there's probably things that aren't going right in your life, personal life, and they all bleed together and intertwine. So I was like, you know what? I want to just dive right into life coaching instead of doing more of the career employee development coaching.
Yeah. So what aspects of life do you find people struggle with most?
I would say my biggest thing is time management, productivity, dealing with overwhelm. Those are the biggest things that I see and I work with most of my clients. Other things as well, finances, especially with younger adults trying to set up themselves for success. They have dreams where they want to build a house, create a family. They just started a new career. They're trying to figure things out. But most importantly, it all comes down to your mindset. no matter what we do.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, no matter what we do, it's all up in your head. Whatever's going on in your head is basically the reason why you can't complete those tasks or, get your finances in order, whatever that might be.
Okay, so if I don't have such a good mindset, what do you suggest I start doing to make it better?
Ooh, what do you need to start doing to make it better? I would say the first thing is being curious and just exploring what's going on. So like, don't get upset with yourself. Like if you just are procrastinating or don't want to do something, just be like, why do I not want to do this right now? Or why do I not want to get out of bed and go to work? Or, whatever you might be having trouble with, and just kind of figure out like, is it boredom? Is it because you just feel lazy? Explore what that is and kind of understand who you are as a person. And then you can kind of start figuring out ways to improve that really.
So how's that going to change my mindset?
Because when you understand yourself and who you are, you can help yourself overcome roadblocks and be more resilient. You can be more consistent with the things that you do. You can create your discipline that you need to get your finances or your productivity, whatever that might be, in order.
Yeah, it all starts with self-awareness.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so let's go through those three things: time management, productivity, and overwhelm. What does good time management look like to you?
Good time management for me looks like balance. I would say that's the biggest thing. So, of course, when people tend to think of time management, it's like, oh, you have to be really rigid, have a schedule every single day. Having good time management means you're always busy, and that's not the case. Time management is being aware of what you have going on and learning how to manage that with your current schedule, whether it has to do with work, it has to do with you sitting on the couch watching TV, it has to do with you going out to dinner with friends. You can build all of that into the time that you have and be balanced.
Okay, so what do you suggest to someone who wants to improve their time management? They know they're not really managing, going to sleep every day, just like finished and done, and they're not sure how they're going to be able to go and move this forward.
Yeah. I would say start small at the beginning. Like, you're probably having troubles because you get overwhelmed and then you don't know what to do and then you just shut down. That's a common pattern that I see with people. And it's not going to be perfect at the beginning. You're going to have to make mistakes. You're going to have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So if you are not good at getting to bed at a decent time, for example, just start there. Focus on going to bed at a decent time 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be every day, because that may not be suitable for you. And that kind of gets into that all or nothing thinking that, if I can't do it perfect, why should I even do it? But in order to do it, quote unquote, perfect, you have to start somewhere and keep on moving to progress that way.
Yeah, literally. It's like you're never going to get there if you just don't even try. And
exactly.
You could even, right? There's two ways of starting small. There's either starting small, let's say 3 days a week, right? That's smaller than 7 days a week. And there's also starting small as in a little bit earlier, meaning if you usually go to sleep at 2, now you can't all of a sudden start going to sleep at 10, but you could go to sleep 1:30 and then a few weeks later, 1:00. So there's two ways to, or you can really combine them both together. 3 nights a week, you're going to go to sleep just a half hour earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to do what works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what is productivity like? How do you know you see good productivity?
Being efficient with your time. So, you may have, a list of things to do. How do you handle that list of items that you need to get done? Basically, can you do it in 3 hours instead of 5 hours? If you understand that you have a list of things to do, you don't managing your procrastination during that time. So you can be efficient with that time frame that you have to get things done.
Yeah, that could be really hard for people, especially when they don't know how to do a task.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any suggestions?
when they don't know how to do a task, or like they just can't seem to like get it done in a certain time frame?
Let's answer both of those.
When they don't know how to do a certain task, I guess a generalized answer, just kind of maybe depending on what that task is like YouTube it, Google it.
Literally, by the way,
I
everything
know.
is Google it.
I know. I Google everything. If I don't know something or how to do something, even with like a system like Outlook, I know that's a popular email system that people use at work. Like, Google ways to make it work for you so you can become more productive.
Okay. So that's if you don't know how to do the task, and if you do know how to do the task, but it's taking you quite a while to do it.
Yeah, I would say, once again, coming back to the mindset and being curious, explore why you're not doing it in a certain time frame. Like, is it because you're bored? This is actually a conversation that I have with one of my clients this week. He couldn't seem to get a task done within a certain time frame that he needed to. And we talked about, okay, well, what's going on? Like, it sounds like you're bored and then you just automatically go to your phone. Like, that's almost like a trigger for everybody. If you get bored or you're distracted, like, oh, let me go to my phone and scroll. And 10 minutes goes by and you're like, crap, I was supposed to be doing this. So like, kind of understanding what your roadblocks are.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Go back to that self-awareness part. Okay. Now overwhelm. How does like one reduce that overwhelm that so many of us just have in our lives?
I know. It really kind of depends on your style, of course. So a couple suggestions I have is scheduling out, getting your time management in order. And it's the hardest part is starting. And I get it when you're overwhelmed. You don't want to add more to your plate. It just seems unfeasible, but just finding 10 minutes just to figure out your schedule, get an idea of what's going on. You can at least have a game plan, and everything's just not coming up randomly all out of nowhere. Like, you kind of have a game plan. And doing that consistently, like, just don't do it one day, do it 5 days out of the week and see how that affects your overwhelm. Because once you know kind of what's going on, then you can kind of, you're not as maybe overwhelmed.
Right.
I know, because you kind of know what's going on and you have a game plan, and being consistent and doing that consistently, like, you're going to end up creating more time for yourself. So you're not as overwhelmed because you're planning things out. And you have to be really, really intentional about that, because I know everybody's heard like, yeah, you got to plan stuff out, but you have to actually do it and be consistent about it to make sure that you just kind of reduce that overwhelm and you're not so exhausted all the time.
Yeah, I found for me personally, it worked best when I planned my day the night before, no matter how tired I was.
Yes.
That way, when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to start thinking about making a plan.
Exactly. And that's something I plan out things for my personal schedule multiple times a week. So like, on Sundays, I look at my entire schedule just to get an overview of like, okay, looks like Monday's going to be my busiest day. That means I need to give myself rest today. So I make sure that I'm on point tomorrow. But then at the end of each day, I look at my next day and say, okay, here's specifically what's going on. I need to fill in these gaps with these things that have come up. Maybe there's a fire I need to put out that I need to do first thing in the morning. So I kind of look at my general overview of the entire week. Then each day I look at every single day coming up and figuring out what I need to do. Do I need to go to the grocery store that day? That's where you can fill in those other things. So it's not just work related, it's personal as well.
Yeah, of course. We're going to balance the whole thing.
Yes.
The whole thing out together, right? You want to plan your work, you want to plan your home life, and plan it all. Like,
exactly.
Together, yeah.
And scheduling rest time is so important. Like, you don't have to be productive all the time, like I've said, and making sure that you actually schedule time. Like, this is my night off. Make sure you block that off in your calendar or mentally, so you can give yourself time to rest, so you're actually able to show up the next day and be productive.
Even more than that, it's like, what's the point of being productive if you don't have time to rest?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You don't have time to do the things that you love and that you...
I know.
I like to call like the productivity cycle, when you have take care of it. When you are productive, then you have more time and you have more time to do the things you love, and you'll be able to become more productive because like you said, right?
Yeah.
So,
And a funny thing with that, like I've made all the mistakes as well. Like in my previous position as a training manager, I worked 9-hour days, sometimes even longer. I didn't take my lunch breaks because I was like, I got so much work to do. I need to do this. But it's funny because it ends up harming you in the long run because you don't have the energy to last throughout the day. And the biggest thing for me that I noticed is that I was forgetting things. Like I couldn't commit things to my memory, and I remember everything. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm not getting enough rest right now because I can't remember things. I can't remember the conversations that I have with my coworkers.
wow, that is scary when you get to see it like so super clear. Like there's something going wrong here.
Exactly.
And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Now I'm curious to hear how this applies more in other areas of your personal life as you've become a life coach and been working with people on these aspects on a daily basis. How has helping other people, and which had to have been in order for you to help other people, you had to have work done on yourself, right? Like I can't imagine you helping people on being productive if you're not super productive, right?
Yeah.
And so how has this whole process of working on yourself and helping other people affect you personally?
I mean, it's affected me in a really good way. So like I've always been someone naturally productive, time oriented. That's just always how I've been, but it's been challenging in different areas or times of my life. For example, like my previous position working so many hours, like I wasn't perfect and I still have challenges for myself, just like everybody else does. So, I like experimenting with all these different like tips and tricks and tasks and all those kind of things that people hear out there. So I can help my clients kind of figure those things out too. And like, I think one thing as well that people misunderstand with like time management and all that kind of stuff. And of course, like we talk about like work life and all that kind of stuff, but it does involve your personal life. Like you can have time management in your personal life and still have fun and still be able to get the dishes done and still keep your house clean while still sleeping in. You kind of have to play with those things and see what works for you. And that's what I do. And I do with my clients. We figure out what works best. Some things don't work, and that's okay. Then we move forward and figure out something else.
Right. There's not like one, like this is the box that everybody fits in, and you have to do it like this, right? You have to know yourself and understand yourself to create a life that works for yourself.
That's the biggest thing. It all comes back to your mindset and being aware of what's going on and understanding like your roadblocks. Is it your phone? Is it Facebook? Is it having your phone notifications going off? Like
besides for the phone, do you know, or like anything to do with like social media or like that, do you notice any other really common roadblocks, or that just like takes the cake?
I would definitely say lack of planning. So like they get home, spend a crappy day, you just want to say F it and just lay on the couch and go to bed. Well, then you don't realize like you got to get up and you have a meeting at 8 a.m. So if you go to bed and you wake up at 7 o'clock and you have a meeting in an hour, you haven't set up yourself for success. Like then you're going to wake up frantic. Then you have to jump on this meeting where you're hardly awake. And then you repeat that cycle over and over again. So then you're unprepared. Then it throws off your entire day, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So breaking the cycle sounds like really the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so I know I'm super tired and I just want to go on binge on Netflix, but like right now I'm going to make that conscious decision to go and plan the rest of my day, plan my day tomorrow. So that way I could be in the good mode to really go and move on forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as we're heading towards the end, I'm curious, what is like the weirdest or most interesting productivity or time management tip you ever heard of?
The weirdest one. I don't really know if there's a weird one.
They're all just
that I can think of, at least. Like I know of a lot of good ones for me, but no, I really can't think of any.
No worries. Okay. So another thing I'm curious about is how does productivity actually affect like relationships?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
really a good one. I will give you, I am misproductive. And then my partner, Jacob, he is ADD, can't seem to get anything done or follow through on anything. So how does productivity affect relationships? That's your question, right?
Yeah.
It can put a strain on relationships, but it can also be really good to balance each other out. So it comes back to knowing yourself and then understanding who your partner is, whatever relationship that might be, even like as a young adult living in your parents' house. You got to figure out what works best for you guys. So how does it affect? I'm trying to think of examples. Let's see.
Do you like always get mad at him, or like how do you make sure it doesn't put a strain on your relationships that you're so different?
Yeah, I constantly have to check in with myself and understand like he's different and that's okay. It doesn't make it wrong. You know, he's grown up in a different way, different lifestyle than me. His brain operates differently, and I need to understand that. So just really coming back to that mindset, understanding like not everybody's going to perform or be the same way as you. And you have to learn to be okay with that and figure out things how to do, or like how to make things work. So like I may have to remind him a couple of times to do the dishes. And I can't get mad at that because that's just how he is. He's forgetful. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That's just how he operates. And kind of separating that circumstance from our actual relationship. Like, it doesn't make him a bad person. I still love him for who he is. And, you know, it's just something that's constantly going to be a work in progress.
Now, do you ever feel like he should be more, obviously you understand that he's ADHD and he has his brains working differently and you're not trying to change him, but does he ever want to change and become more productive, or he's just making peace with the fact that that's the way his brain is? Like, how does he view productivity?
I think it's 50-50. So like he understands that's the way his brain is, but he wants to become better. Like he's fully aware of the issues as well. And I wouldn't say that they're issues, but he wants to make things better as well and make sure that it doesn't become a strain in our relationship. So sometimes we have to check in and have a conversation and just like, remember what we're doing here. Or, you know, it's something that I've done to help myself not get mad at him or build those unnecessary thoughts that aren't actually reality is, you know, I send him calendar invitations. It helps us remember things. So there's no excuse that he forgot because it's going to send him a reminder or something of that nature.
Right.
So working towards like the strengths that you guys have or weaknesses, you send a calendar invitation and you know that's still going to pop up.
Right. So you're working together with his brain instead of trying to fight his brain.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You got to find things that work.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So on that topic, here's a question that I ask every guest is, how would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, trust, or connection?
How do you describe an extraordinary relationship without love, trust, or connection?
Yeah.
I don't know if this counts, but conversation.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah. So talking about everything and anything, you guys should be an open book together, and talking leads into different types of conversations that help you understand, where you can empathize with your partner or learn new things about them, which comes to like understanding why they are the way they are, and learning to appreciate them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes. Okay. So where can we connect with you and learn more about you?
Yeah. So you can find me on basically all the social media platforms. So on Facebook and Instagram, I'm Unleashed Leadership. You can find me on LinkedIn as my personal profile, Nicki Conradt Eberlin. I have my website, unleashedleadership.com. Welcome to have any conversations with anybody or anything of that nature. Give me a follow. I'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. Okay. So all those links will be in the show notes, so guys can go and follow you and be in touch with you. Thank you so much, Nicki. This was really informative and awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
That's all for this episode of the Life Picks University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.